Hey, this is Tyrese Anderson. What I want to talk about today is a question that I am certain anyone who follows martial arts has wondered at some point, especially for the person who is the character, or I should say, the main star of this video, who we've all at some point, whether you care for martial arts or do not care for it. You've heard of this person, Bruce Lee. And what I will ask for this video, or I should say answer for this video, is he the greatest martial artist of all time? So if you really want to have an answer to this question as clear as possible for someone who's not extremely familiar with martial arts, remember to watch this whole video from beginning to end. And trust me, you will get the answer you're looking for. So let's get started when it comes to answering the question just for fun. If Bruce Lee is literally the greatest martial artist of all time. The simple answer to that question, straightforward, is simply put it no. He was not the greatest martial artist of all time. The reason why he's not the greatest martial artist of all time, because even though Bruce Lee was around during a time period that had war, like you had the Vietnam War and so on and so forth, and the world at that period of time was not in that great of a state compared to previous eras of human history going back hundreds, thousands of years ago. He actually grew up in an extremely peaceful part of history during that period of time, truth be told. Okay, so he grew up in a time period when combat and knowing how to defend yourself and knowing how to defeat an opponent physically or even kill someone in combat in any way possible, whether it could be using weapons or or hand movements and all that type of stuff, was simply put it outdated. It wasn't really necessary or needed in that time frame anymore compared to previous eras. So truth be told, when it comes to the idea of him being an extremely good martial artist, when all he really was good at, not to disrespect him, he's a very talented person, um, truth be told, but when you're just simply someone who focuses on how can I throw as many hits as possible or as many kicks as possible, as fastly as possible, truth be told, that is not going to save you from real, authentic combat, especially going centuries to thousands of years ago. Besides, the question is he the greatest martial artist of all time compared to even martial artists of the past going throughout the whole course of human history? The simple answer to that question is obviously no when it comes to efficiency. Because a lot of techniques, whether you like to hear it or not, is really just watered down versions of martial arts. The truth about martial arts is that real martial arts is just like comparing Muay Thai to Muay Boran. It it's two very different things. Muay Thai, even though it's really rough, compared to Muay Boran, it's watered down because Muay Boran is teaches people how to pretty much just kill people or severely injure someone using their hands, or just in general, you can even just say using martial arts. All Bruce Lee was focused on is how to throw as many kicks and punches as possible. So when it comes to efficiency and stuff like that, he definitely did not have that ability because there's really no legit need to. That part of history, not unless you're planning on becoming like a special forces operator or something, is kind of obsolete. So, truth be told, not to sound extremely bitter or anything here, but truth be told, what he was doing was just simply a case of how many punches can I throw at a period of time, or maybe a bit of strength training here and there to make sure he could throw very hard punches and all that sort of stuff. But when it comes to fighting, especially when it comes to actual real fighting, especially people in the past who didn't have the distractions like he would have had even a bit to some extent, like for example, having to watch TV, having the ability to drive places here and there, having to maybe just relax and just chill out and all that stuff. People in the past didn't have those luxuries. You didn't have TV, you didn't have all those things like we have today, like we have in today's world. We didn't have any of those things. They didn't have any of those things at the time. So if you really wanted to learn how to become good at something or martial arts, you literally would do it from the beginning of the day to the end of the day. It's as simple as that. That's how life was back then. It's definitely not as pleasurable as life is now, but without those distractions, it would have definitely produced some truly astonishing martial artists that if we look back at it, if we had the ability to have a time machine and look at a camera, we would be astonished at how talented and how good they were. Some of the things we look at today, I guarantee you, as just simply myths and legends, we would realize, oh crap, this actually did happen. I'm not saying someone's gonna cut a rock in half with like a sword or something, but you might realize this guy actually broke a huge piece of rock, like a 3 feet thick, 3 feet tall piece of rock with a simple hand. There's a lot of things that happened back then. I'm certain we wouldn't. We today would say, oh, that would never happen. That did happen because they had all that free time. And in martial arts is more than just simply about punching and kicking. It's about efficiency, playing smart. Like how can you take down your opponent as quickly as possible? If your opponent tries to punch you in the face, what do you do then? And that's what I'm trying to say here. So when it comes to the simple answer to that question, no, he was not the greatest martial artist of the time. But here's where things really, really get interesting. Out of all the things I've said so far, is that he could, if he was born in the past or or something, he could, especially looking at the degree of willpower he showed even during a time when people were becoming more decadent and becoming more lazy and more distracted at that time period. Nowadays it's even worse than back then. But even by the step but of course, truth be told, he grew up in a time period when that stuff was starting, so he became like anyone else, kind of a bit distracted with the stuff that's going on in the world and just movies and entertainment and stuff. So truth be told, put him in like a machine and send him to the past, maybe some virtual reality sort of thing, or virtual reality simulator in the past, or something along the lines of that. Who knows? He might have actually could possibly been hypothetically the greatest fighter of all time. He showed some traits. He could throw his hands at a very fast speed. He had very good choreography. Um, Good choreography, which if you were to get in a fight with someone in the past, I'm certain I would scare the living crap out of them because it'd go like, oh, holy crap, this guy can fight. So there's a lot of things he did show that were quite impressive, to put it bluntly. So if he lived in the past, maybe if he was exposed to some of the techniques and knowledges of people of the past, possibly, yes, he could have been the greatest fighter of all time. It's a possibility if he were to travel to the past and he didn't have the luxuries of the real world and all that type of stuff that he was brought up, or just in general he was born in the past, is an even better example. He was born in the past. He could have possibly been the greatest fighter of all time. But truth be told, in our actual reality, no, he was definitely not. He he might put up a good show, put up a good fight for a little while, but then he would experience a real authentic taste if you were to fight against someone from the past of what true martial arts really is. He's a good, talented, very talented person. We can't disrespect him. Besides, it's a different time period, but like, especially against someone in the past, especially doing taking into consideration though, in the past, people also played really dirty to make things even worse. And he's just clean cut and just trying to kick like, oh, I can only kick in this area, I can only kick in that area, or something like that. People in the past played freaking dirty. That it's not like you thought, like you might think in a modern day world. People back then would fight like they're chivalrous. They played dirty. they play dirty or something. They would like grab you by your hair and stuff. And that's not even counting the fact that they had all the time in the world to probably study, the high ranking ones study literally hundreds, if not thousands, of attacks or counterattacks that they could possibly make, if anything, that they could probably put in a few main categories for based on any particular situation. That's what I'm trying to say here. So, truth be told, I don't think he was the greatest fighter of all time. In our reality, no, but did he have the possibility? Possibly to be the greatest fighter of all time from what he has shown. So, this is my video. This is all I have to say. I hope you enjoyed it. If you like more videos like this, whether whether it's an advice video or is it simply an interesting hypothetical video, remember to hit the subscribe button and thumbs this video up. And as I have to say, so later.